Hey everyone, welcome to another Lazy Shell tutorial video. Today's topic is the Battlefields editor. We'll also be talking about tile editors and graphics editors. You'll see those editors used in other editors, so this video will serve as a basic introduction to those editors. When tile editors and graphics editors are utilized in other editors, I'll refer you back to this video to learn how to use them. The Battlefield editor lets you edit the various stages where battles take place. This drop-down lets you choose the battlefield you want to edit. If you see a battlefield with an underscore before the name, it means that battlefield was not used in the original game and would likely need some fixing up before it could be used. You can edit the colors used in a battlefield by using its palette editor. Palette editors are covered in a different video, so I won't say much about that. Down here at the bottom, you can choose which palette set you want to use. Keep in mind that some battlefields share palettes, so be careful before you start editing them. Now on to the structure of battlefields. Battlefields, levels, and anything that has a tile editor can all be thought of similarly. At the top, you have the entire battlefield or level itself. Then you have the tiles that make up the battlefield or level. In turn, those tiles are made out of subtiles. Last, you have the graphics which are used in those subtiles. Let's start with the tiles. If you click this grid button, you can see the individual tiles that make up the battlefield. Now let's click on the tile editor to pull that up. This lets you edit the tiles that the battlefield is made out of. It's hard to talk about using the tile editor without also pulling up the graphics editor, so let's do that. Let's make some room. Now that we've got the graphics editor up, let's zoom in, choose the tile grid option, and click on palette row number 3 so that the graphics are easier to see. Again, the battlefield is made out of these tiles, and these tiles are made out of these graphics. You can use these tools on the left to select tiles, move them around, copy, paste, and delete tiles. In the tile editor, each tile is made out of 4 subtiles. If you click on a subtile, the Subtile Properties section will show you information about that subtile. The index number corresponds to the subtile index number shown in the graphics editor. If you hover over these graphics, you can see that index number in this bottom section. Palette refers to these rows of palettes up here. Each battlefield has 8 palettes assigned to it, labeled 0 through 7. This subtile uses palette 4, which is the 5th one down. Each subtile can use any of these 8 palettes. Priority 1 makes that subtile appear on top of everything else. Battlefields are supposed to be backgrounds, so none of the subtiles in any battlefields have this checked. Mirror will flip that subtile horizontally, while invert will flip it vertically. These mirror and invert buttons do the same thing, but apply to the whole tile. With auto update checked, any changes made in the tile editor are applied to the battlefield as you make them. If you don't have auto update checked, you can manually click the update button to apply the changes. Press OK to accept changes made to the tiles, cancel to undo any changes you've made since the tile editor was opened, and it will also close the tile editor. While reset will undo the changes you made while keeping the tile editor open. One thing to point out is that you can select different tiles to edit while the tile editor is open. So don't feel like you have to open the tile editor, edit, click OK to close out of it for each individual tile. In the graphics editor, you can edit the individual subtile graphics one pixel at a time. There are typical image editing tools in here, just like you'd find in something like Microsoft Paint. Drawing tool, erase tool, select a group of pixels, copy, paste, etc. You can also import and export files to and from this editor by right-clicking. You can choose between .bin files or image files like .bmp, .jpeg, and .png. That way, you can export these files, edit them in a picture editing program that you're familiar with, or maybe that has more capabilities than Lazy Shell, and then import them back here. Just be aware that any images you import need to be the same dimensions as this graphics area, or parts of your image will be cut off. Also, these update, auto update, and other buttons down here all function the same way they do in the tile editor. Down at the bottom of the Battlefields editor, you can choose the graphics sets you want to use. Going back into the graphics editor, let's zoom out so you can see the entire thing. Extend the window so you can see it. Also, let's move to Battlefield 1, just so the graphics are a little easier to see. This long window of graphics is broken down into 5 sections. Each section uses one of these sets of graphics. You can see these groups by changing the graphics sets. Change these graphics sets to mix and match graphics from different battlefields, or customize the graphics to create your own. Lastly, over here we have the tile set dropdown. Tile sets are the groups of tiles that make up a battlefield. Just about every battlefield has its own unique tile set, except for the rare occasion where battlefields use the same tiles but have different palettes. For example, there are 2 versions of the underground battlefield, a blue one and a brown one. They both use the same tile set. While the program does let you import graphics as image files, you can't import tile sets as image files. You can only import tile sets as .dat files. .dat files are files that originate from Lazy Shell, so the tile set would have had to already exist in Lazy Shell before it could be exported. What this means is that you can't simply draw up a battlefield in another program and import that battlefield into Lazy Shell. You can import graphics to the graphics editor, but you would still need to edit the individual tiles in the tile set. That covers everything for the Battlefields editor. As always, if you find these videos helpful and want to see more, please consider subscribing. If there's anything you want to see, anything you want to go over, any burning questions you have, feel free to ask those as well. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.